Wow, some extra work, extra damage to fix. And this is very urgent. Just came home and found my willow tree like this. And that part was broken off in one of this winter storms. And this is a tree that actually needs to break apart like this to survive and to reproduce. It's just the way it works. It's a type of willow that grows best in swampy areas where other trees cannot find any foothold. And these will just grow like a bush. And when they are becoming too heavy for their own support, they'll just break open down there, and they'll just fall flat on the ground. And some of the middle ones will stay upright, as did this thick one the last time it broke open. And normally the branches or the trunks that are lying flat on the ground, they're on wet ground, on swamp ground, so they'll form new roots wherever they touch the ground. And everywhere they form new roots, they also sprout new trunks. So when one of these bush willows, and I'll look up the correct word in English, we call it a crack willow because it cracks open. Um, anyway, so when one breaks open, a few years later, there's an entire circle of these willows, which in turn will also break open, and so on and so on. So this is also a tree that can dry out swampy area. If you plant it in swampy area, it will hold the soil, it will suck out the water, and it will form roots, and it will sink some of the trunks just below the surface if it's a really bad swamp, and it will turn the surface into a more solid area. Um, so the top 1-2 meters will become drier. You could actually, and that's what this land is like. If you dig a hole of 1.5 meters, you're into a very porous kind of soil that is permanently underwater. It's all gray, which indicates that it never gets air in there, so it's always underwater. And when you drive a pole in the ground and you reach that area, suddenly you can stick it like 2-3 meters extra without any force, just by hand, just like that. So that's a very interesting thing to experience first time you get it. Anyway, this bigger part here did not have any support anymore from this branch, so it broke off. Must have been, yeah, it was a little windy day before yesterday when I wasn't here. And it fell on my apple trees. So if I don't cut it away soon, which is today or tomorrow, it's gonna start damaging my apple tree. And that would be bad, because that would be loss of fruit and loss of food. Speaking of apples, I promised Skillcult to take some shots of the winter apple trees that I still have, and that's these two. That one actually was almost entirely lost, and there was one fresh shoot on the trunk that I kind of protected a couple of years back, and it just turned into a new tree like this. It's wonderful. And these guys, it's gonna be a very bad lighting, I guess. It's a bit hazy, and the sun is shining brightly behind the haze. But there's still, there's probably still some pollen left on these. and I push. And the other one is actually not looking as good because it has not rejuvenated like the other one has. So you can see it. It's very old, crusty bark. This one also carries less fruit. Although this year I've seen quite a bit of flowers. Let's see where. Well, like this group here. I'm gonna watch and see which ones get the nicer fruit started, and then there's some groups that have like a couple of smaller sucklings. I'll just take them out to drive all the energy of the tree into the best looking apples. So I'm not going for a lot of fruit on this tree, just um, to answer the questions that I've been asked, because actually this is the first year that I've actually enjoyed the fruit of these two. Before that, I just used it as a pigment in my jams and applesauce, and occasionally like a hearty get sour snack when I was working in the yard. Um, but now I know that I have to leave them on until New Year's and then try them. So it's a thought that never occurred to me. I really didn't know that there were types of apples that just crust winter. Come on, sharp. Can we see it? No, we can't because I'm not aiming right. This is better. If it gets sharp. Pew. These are the groups of flowers. So they're all done blooming now. It's the 1st of May. But as I just showed, the male parts they're not entirely dry yet, so they might still be able to produce some pollen. And these female ones, this is obviously female parts. Um, so it looks like we got male flowers and female flowers. These are not bisexual flowers, unless of course the male parts have broken off here. But I know some trees do that. I have no clue if this is one of them. Actually, in this group, it's all with pollen strings. So let's see if we can see female parts. Then we know it's a mixed. Yeah, I think it's a mixed flower after all. But there's a whole bunch of these groups. They're always grouped like this, like 4 or 5 flowers together, and usually all of them produce produce an apple. So if I cut away the smallest ones, the bigger ones should get bigger, and in this case, probably more interesting. So I'll be cutting away these trees to get more light in. I'll take out a couple of dead branches to bring more air in to remove all chances of fungus. And as you can see, there is still now they're all dried out, but they still have not molded. Can I film it? I hope I can. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, shoot. It's really hard to aim the camera of this cell phone and then zoom in and then aim again. Wait, let's see if I can get some air behind. Yes, then it's easier. There we want to go. That's where we want to go. You see that? Ah, there it is. That's showing. So it's all crumpled and dried and black, but it was not rotten. It's just an entirely dry apple. All the moisture sucked out. Actually, could be interesting to taste it. Might be interesting because it could be sweet if it's just the moisture that is all sucked out. If it's not fermented, well, and if it is, might get a good alcohol shot out of it. Anyway, interesting experiments to come. And cutting back all the branches from this willow will also bring in a lot more light. That side is south. So we're like 5 o'clock in the afternoon now. Sun is almost west. That's west. South. So, and that's my little house. So I will be cutting these willows too anyway to bring more sunshine on my house, and I'll be using this area in between. Looks small from here, but it's fairly wide. I'll be using that one for making some vegetable beds on tables, like higher up, because in the winter this soil can get um, very swampy. I dug a ditch here to evacuate all the water from around the cabin in the wintertime to prevent muddy areas. And if I can cut away all these herbs, on the other side of the cabin I got berry bushes, various kinds. I'll look up the names in English and put them on the screen. So, wow, those middle ones are totally dead. That's good. That's dry wood for next winter right away, or maybe even for making some charcoal for the forge. Cool. Hi, Push. And that's Stannis. He'll be here for another month. And after that, he's probably gone for good. He's a great dog. He's well trained, he's calm. All right.